Hello everyone, I'm Tim from Tim's PC, and I build custom PCs to suit anyone's needs or budget. Also live stream my builds and repairs for transparency and educational purposes. So if you'd like to get an awesome new PC and you'd like to see it put together live, send me a message today. Alrighty, so tonight we're going to be building Alister's PC. So this is a little PC that he's put together, that we've put together, the two of us, just to suit his needs. It's mainly for work, but he wants to do like a little bit of gaming if he gets a bit of a chance with it as well. So let's get stuck into it. So we've got the 12400 CPU, the i5, so 6 cores and 12 threads on this one. We've got the the Gigabyte UD B660M DS3H AX motherboard. We have a silicon power, is it a 500 gigabyte SSD here, and we've got a 1 terabyte WD 7200 RPM hard drive. For our graphics, we've got GTX 1650, so a MSI Ventus XS. We've got 16 gigabytes of Corsair Vengeance RGB memory, and we've got a 650 watt Cooler Master 80 plus rated power supply there with a 3-year warranty. And we're going to be putting it in an Antec NX320 case, and we'll probably add an extra couple of fans to it as well. So let's get started. So get our motherboard out, we'll have a look at this to start with. It's the first time I've built on this exact motherboard. However, I've built on this sort of brand name range of motherboards before. So Gigabyte UD I'm referring to here. Alright, so let's have a look at this board. See what it's got, what it doesn't have. Okay, so this is it, all shiny and new out of the box. So I've got a single fan header up here with the power for the CPU, 8 pins of CPU power, a little tiny heatsink here. We've got obviously our LGA 1700 socket here, and no heatsink up here. So I wouldn't be pairing this particular motherboard with like a K series CPU. So yeah, don't do that. You'll probably have a bad time. They're totally fine for like a 12400F or something like that. Even a 12700F would probably be okay on this board. I've got 4 slots for our memory. Got our CPU fan header there. Got our 24 pin power, the main power for our motherboard. Another fan header here. 2 vertically orientated SATA ports, vertical USB 3. 2 horizontally orientated SATA ports there. Then down the bottom we have our front panel connections. We've got a couple of headers up here. I think one might be clear CMOS, one might be possibly a temp header. We've got a fan header down here, trusted platform module header here, 2 USB 2.0s, a 12 volt and a 5 volt RGB. We've got a couple of buttons here to easy flash for our BIOS, and we have a reset button there as well. Kind of handy to have that there, and it's good to see it on a cheaper motherboard. We've got some spare pins down here, so nothing's in place here, but they could have installed their header for that there, and it's also missing the COM port header there as well at the end. What have we got there? That looks like a Sony Philips digital interface header. The 3 pins looks like a 5 volt RGB header, but it's not. We've got our front panel audio down here, and obviously these little gold capacitors, and these chips around here are the audio related hardware on the board. And then around the back here for the rear I/O, audio usually down here as close as possible to everything else audio on the board. We've got what I think might be 2.5 gigabit LAN. We got 4 USB 3 or above ports, including one Type-C. We've got 2 DisplayPort outputs there, and a HDMI. None of them will be in use for this build because we've got an F-series Intel CPU, so we can't use any of them. These are only if we have an onboard graphics chip for our CPU, and that's only if we're doing a PC build without a graphics card usually. We've got Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.1, 2 USB 2.0s there, and our PS2 header there as well. And then just this stuff in the center of the board here. We've got 2 M2 slots there. We have a PCIe X16 slot there, 2 little X1s there, our CMOS battery, and obviously our chipset heatsink here. Little tiny heatsink here. Obviously it doesn't need, the B660 chipset doesn't need much of a heatsink, it would seem. Alrighty, well we'll have a look at it when we stress test it, won't we? But that is all the main features here of this motherboard, so let's get started. So there's a new stock cooler that I haven't featured here before, so yeah.
Tim on YouTube says hi to never seen who is on.
Hey Tim on YouTube, how you going? Yes, I can. This box feels like it's different dimensions. Like it's thicker. It's obviously from the new cooler here. Oh yeah, that's definitely thicker. So, for comparison, pretty sure I've got something here to compare it with. So this one here is the old Intel CPU box with the stock cooler, and this is the new one. So, as you can see there, this one is a little bit shorter, and it's also a little bit skinnier as well. I don't really make that out too well on the camera, but yeah, the back one is definitely bigger and chunkier. Yeah.
Tim on Facebook says, what's your go-to gaming motherboard up to $500?
Oh, geez. Up to $500. I mean, there's a lot of good options. Like, if realistically for a motherboard, usually once you get to about the high 3s, early 4s, you're sort of starting to pay for bling as much as it it might seem awesome to buy like the most expensive motherboard you can find. While it's not going to be a shit board or anything like that, there's like diminishing returns on investment beyond that. So normally, if you're spending about $400 on a motherboard or more, they're usually all like awesome motherboards that I can say more good things about than I can say bad things about. And when it comes to judging what those good and bad things are, I would say that completely depends on the user. Like the things that I look for from a user perspective when I look for a motherboard, I look at what capacity I have on the rear I/O. If I'm looking at something for myself, I like to have a couple of USB-C ports on my motherboard in 2020 personally. That might not be a priority for someone else. Some people want integrated Wi-Fi on the motherboard. Other people like Wi-Fi, I don't use it. Bluetooth, I don't use it. It's not important to them. So I would say that once you're getting up to around that $400 plus mark, it's basically a case of pick which one has the best features that you like the most, and pick which one you like the best aesthetically. Because once you start getting above $400 plus, that's really all you're paying for. They're all really good boards, because once you get to that level, that's all of the companies like ASRock, MSI, Gigabyte, Asus. Once you get up to that level, that's the start of their premium tier, and none of them make shit boards on the premium tier. Like there's some like crappier budget boards out there, right? But like when it comes to the company's top end boards, like
You know, there are some pretty shitty ASRock boards on the low end. There are some pretty shitty MSI boards on the low end. But go have a look at some of MSI and ASRock's high end boards. Some of them, like, they're works of art almost. So, yeah, that's generally my advice. Obviously, the exact cost varies a bit by chipset and stuff like that. So, you know, you can probably get some slightly cheaper AMD boards. Whoa! I did hear it was plasticky, but
Oh, snap.
check this out, babe.
Oh, I've been waiting for these fucking things.
Be careful, there's thermal paste on the bottom.
Did I just put my
No, you
fingers
didn't,
in?
but you were very
Oh.
close.
Yeah, it's made
No
out-
worries, Tim. Yeah, hopefully that makes it a little bit easier for you. But yeah, once I get up to about $400 plus spend on a motherboard, I'm not so much worrying about which brand or something like that. They've all got really good features. It's just like which one looks better for the case that I'm using, stuff like that. But yeah, have a look at that cooler. It looks at least as good as the little black Intel ones, but I don't think it's like a huge step up in cooling capacity. I was casually, as I always am when I'm watching him, casually watching a bit of Dorwood Does Tech Stuff on YouTube, and he was doing a bit of torture tests on these.
Oh,
he was chucking them on. It was chucking it on like a 12. I think he was gonna chuck it on a 12900K, but he didn't get past the 12700K before it was basically just melting down. But for a 12400F, it's not going to be a problem here. So, this is the first time I've installed this cooler.
Cooler. I like it.
It looks aesthetically pleasing. Let's just say that.
Is it just
Okay.
me or are those fins like a hard plastic of sorts?
Yeah, the outside there is definitely plastic. Oh, there we go. It's easier to. Oh, it's nice and easy to conceal that cable around the legs. I like that. That makes it a little bit easier when we're building these cheaper PCs with the stock coolers. Ooh.
I like the shade of blue that they've picked for the ring in the middle. It's nice.
Well, what's the best way to seal this? Like this. Yeah, perfect. There we go. And you can't even really tell there's a cable there, but it's just sort of looped around there at the top there. Very good. I like that they've put a little bit more room between the legs and the actual heat sink there on the side. Just makes it a bit easier to tuck that cable away. Yeah, happy with that. Oh, they're at Boona.
Yeah, that was at 3:20 this morning.
Oh. Shit.
Because of the rain.
Yeah, okay.
Flash flood.
Well, we all got woken up around 7 a.m. out here on the southeastern side of town.
Yeah, my work at Wynnum Plaza, we got
Yep.
smashed. I was told that Woolworth's roof caved in, Kmart's roof caved in, our roof caved in. And Woolworths and Kmart had to shut, but we stayed open.
Yeah.
Ours
Yeah.
wasn't as bad.
Apparently the Coles wasn't as bad. The Woolworths couldn't open till later in the day, and I don't know.
Oh, they were already open.
Oh, they were already open when it happened.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh shit!
Customers in the store and everything.
I can just imagine, like 7 a.m. down at Wynnum West Woolworths. Who's in the store at 7 a.m. I used to be a rep for a company that was distributed through Woolworths. So I know the store a bit. There's not usually too many oldies down there at that store in the morning. There's more oldies up at Coles
There was
at
like
that
a
time in the
small
morning.
lake in the fresh produce area.
Yeah.
I saw the video.
And you were saying that some of the, like the roof had been ripped off the centre or something like that? Or it hadn't been ripped off the centre, but so much water had come in it had pushed down through the false ceiling thing. Yeah.
Multiple team members had to leave because their roofs had caved in or their house had been flooded.
Yep.
It was really bad.
Damn. Alrighty. So because we've got two sticks of memory and 4 slots, we need to consider which 2 we use first. And so on this board here, it is these 2 slots. The reason we do that is because it's what's called dual channel memory, so the CPU can speak to both channels at the same time. So if you're only installing 2 sticks, you want them in 2 different channels because you get that latency boost. Alrighty. So, talked about the memory there. Put our M2 slot down here because when we install our graphics card, it's going to be a little bit hard to get to that slot. And then if Alister wants to install another NVMe SSD to increase his storage, he can just easily access this top slot here. That won't be a problem for him. Alrighty. And so that's all we've got to do on the motherboard. That is completely prepped and ready to go into the case. So, the NX320 here from Antec comes with pre-installed RGB fans there on the front. The one thing about this case is there's not really any room to top mount a radiator. So this isn't the sort of case that you'd buy if you were looking to add a radiator in time. You can add a radiator in here, don't get me wrong. You can put it to the front, but normally what I suggest to people is just like advice that someone in my position can pretty much never go wrong with, put it that way, is I always tell people to top mount their radiator. That's generally advice I can't go wrong with. Mount a radiator in this case, it's like, yeah. But the thing is, if you're not going to be running a hectic CPU and use about an all-in-one liquid cooler for your CPU, I like the Ryzen 5600G is fine with just the stock cooler. It's yeah, completely fine as long as you're not going to be using it for video rendering or something like that. Cool. That gets stuck on.
What's wrong?
One of the little pieces here was like on a funny angle. Didn't want to pull out. Anyway, getting sidetracked here. Alright, so we've got our case here. So because RGB is not really a priority in this build, we can just leave the RGB hooked up to the case.
Oh, snap! Did car park at Riverlink, G-Bet.
That's what you get for being at Riverlink. Riverlink shopping centre in Ipswich got a bit smashed with the storms this morning.
Oh, no, that was on Monday.
Oh, okay. Oh, that was after the big
Yeah,
floods.
that's after the flood.
Yeah.
But it always floods in that car park.
Yeah, it's not completely uncommon.
No, Riverlink's just going to slide a little bit further towards the river.
Yeah. Like my friend owns a PC shop in the heart of Ipswich CBD. His place got flooded. He luckily moved. He got to move all his stock up to high ground before it all got flooded. But yeah, it's still a pain in the ass. Oh, are you serious? Oh, that's okay. There we go. So I just tied up all those RGB related cables, and I've just sort of tucked them around the side there of that lip, and they'll just stay out of the way then. And then we've just got our case connectors. So we've got front panel audio, USB 2, USB 3, and our power switch and lights. So all sorted there. We got a bag of random stuff for our case, but we've got a hard drive to install here. So what we'll do, we'll chuck the hard drive in the top slot, and we can conceal some of the cables away below it in the bottom slot.
Tim.
Oh, yep. Yep.
Shane says, hi Tim.
Hey Shane, how you going?
This is mate, always looking the goods, mate. What's the wait time on 3080? I would also like to upgrade RAM. For you two here, what would you recommend?
Well, no wait time on 3080s anymore, and yeah, prices dropped like 15% or so in February. So yeah, happy days when it comes to graphics cards right now. We're probably in the best situation for graphics cards that we've been in for 12 months.
At the moment, it's got an AMD Ryzen 5 5600X.
Yep.
16 gigs of RAM, 850 watt power supply, and 3060 GPU.
Yeah, I'd just be looking at upgrading your graphics card and upgrading your RAM. Yeah. Yeah, 5600X. That's nothing. There's nothing wrong with 5600X right now. You compare that with a 3080, no problem. I build the slightly weaker version of the 5600X, which is the 5600G. I'll put that with a 3080. You can watch the benchmarks and you can watch it performing. It does not struggle when paired with a 3080. It's still a good CPU. The 5600X. It'll keep up for a few more years yet, to say the least. So yeah, I would just look at those two things, man. Your graphics card, 3060. Like 3060 is the GA106 GPU. So that's actually the bottom GPU. So there's the 3060 Ti, and you think it's similar to the 3060, but it's actually based on the faster GA104 GPU, which is the same one that the 3070 and 3070 Ti have. So if you to upgrade from a GA106 to 3080, which is the top GPU, the GA102, the same one that's in the 3080 Ti and 3090, you're getting a huge jump in performance.
Tim wants to know what model is the CPU cooler.
This CPU cooler, this is just the new Intel stock cooler. So get a load of that. It's it looks pretty fancy, but it's got this like plastic thing around the edge of it. Yeah, it's a little bit weird. From what I've seen of the performance, it performs at least as well as the previous design, so there's nothing to worry about with regards to that. Alright. Yeah, so we've got our power supply here. So yeah, like this is just an 80 plus white power supply, but that's not really a problem because that 80 plus rating is just about the efficiency level of its conversion of AC to DC power. The main thing that tells me that this is a decent quality power supply is it has a 3-year manufacturer's warranty on it. That's the key point, is that the manufacturer is willing to give you a replacement if it fails within 3 years. That's the takeaway, not the 80 plus rating. There are 80 plus gold rated power supplies that would be like lower quality units than this one here. So yeah, never use that 80 plus rating as like your guide to quality. However, if you're looking at like 80 plus platinum power supplies, you can't make an 80 plus platinum power supply and make other components in it a piece of shit. Like, so if you buy the absolute top tier of that, then no worries. But when it comes to like 80 plus gold and stuff like that, yeah, you can't ever use that as a guide to quality. There are some horrible 80 plus gold units out there, and bronze. And then there are some like excellent 80 plus gold and bronze units, because it's not necessarily about that. And it's not necessarily about the warranty either, but a warranty is a general good guide to quality for your average person. So some people, like, I get like messages from people and they specify that they want like an 80 plus gold power supply, and I'm like, but is that really what you want, or are you just telling me that you want a good quality power supply that's not going to fuck up on you? Because yeah, like there are some terrible 80 plus gold power supplies out there. Yeah. What are you trying to show me?
Fraser went for a walk down to Wivenhoe Dam, the spillway.
Oh shit! Oh, that's Spillway Common.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just watching video of Wivenhoe Dam at the visitor observation area that's like in front of the dam wall where the main gate is.
Oh, there's a Gus.
There's a turtle.
Yeah. It's not the same type as Gus, it's the one with the little stripe down his face.
Okay, so we're not gonna need a lot of these cables. I don't believe we even need a PCIe cable. We just need CPU, motherboard. Oh, I set the CPU over here. Okay, let's bunch them together nice and tight. And put a zip tie around them. Then we can stash them away down there next to our power supply, and then if we need any of those cables in the future, we can just pull them out, cut that cable tie off, and we'll be all sorted.
Tim,
Yeah.
Nathan says, hey Tim, I'm going still dry.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, all dry over here. We're on like an island for a while, but like we didn't get flooded ourselves. Alright, so I'll plug in power for our RGB fans on the front of the case.
Are you going to add a couple of RGB fans or just black fans?
Just a couple of black fans I'm going to throw in there for free. Alright, so stash those excess SATA connectors away.
Nathan says that's good, looking good, uncle.
Sweet, so now we've got CPU, motherboard, front panel. Alrighty, let's get our motherboard in the case. Actually, no, let's put a couple of extra fans in. So, got a whole heap of these Antec reverse fans because I don't always need them. Because ironically, the cases that they come with are like sort of more mid-range cases. So the person who gets a case like that with their build, normally they're just like, oh, is it only like $15 extra to get a couple of RGB ones instead? Oh yeah, give me them, sort of thing. Like, yeah, yeah. Alrighty, so yeah, we'll put these ones on the top. And one for the back. So yeah, one of the things with PC cases, if you wanna make sure that like you're doing everything by the book, one of the principles when it comes to considering all the factors involved with airflow, one of the easy rules of thumb to do is balance your airflow. So if you've got 3 120mm fans on the front of your case, have 3 120mm fans pushing air out the top and the back of your case. That way you're gonna have good flow of cool air through the case. These fans on the front aren't going to be pushing against like a pressurized area and sort of not moving much air through the case. So if you want to make sure that all the airflow is like optimized as such, balanced airflow, so 3 fans on the front, think 3 fans blowing out. Then you can get into it and you get into the tuning and stuff like that, making sure that the fans are like spinning at the same RPM so that you do have actually balanced airflow. Or you can get a bit technical as well and you can run it so you have a slight amount of positive pressure in the case, which some will tell you can help to reduce the amount of dust that builds up in a case. I'm more an open case kind of guy, and so I just regularly clean my computers for dust. So I don't really care about that. My fans are all just on low and sort of just for show, because yeah, I have like an open case and water cooling. So yeah. Kind of how it goes. They only ramp up and all that if I was like rendering a video or something like that. But yes, for general good advice, if you're building a PC, consider the airflow. Volume of air in should equal volume of air out, so that you have good airflow through the case. Alrighty, and for these two. So these 3 fans that we're installing are going to be pushing air out the top and back of the case. And so what that'll mean is we should be able to run all of our fans on like low all the time and it won't make much noise at all. Because as you've probably noticed, there can be quite a big difference in volume if your fans can run at like, say, 20% as opposed to running at 80%. And if you don't have balanced airflow, you might be in a situation where you've got to have your fans turned up all the time. And that might piss you off. Alright. I love screwing in fans. It's like my favourite job.
Best job ever.
Get an electric screwdriver, people tell me.
Yeah, but I don't. You can overscrew things with.
Yeah, so
electric.
it's easy to thread bolts, and I
Yeah.
hate threading bolts. Then I need to like drill into the screw, and it's a real pain in the ass.
And what if the customer wants to like do something with it later, and it's really hard for them to get
That's the other thing as well. And then they thread the screw trying to unscrew it.
And they're
Yeah.
like, what the fuck did you do to my PC?
Yep. I know. These are all the things that float around in my brain. Okay. So we've got our rear I/O shield. Nothing going to be in the way there. Alrighty, let's get our motherboard in the case. So we will need to put down a couple of different offsets because, of course, this case has the small size ATX offsets in place and nothing else. So that can be a bit of a pain in the ass if you don't have the right tool. Sweet as. Now we can put our motherboard in. Oh, I do have a little do have a couple of little panels to break off there for the Wi-Fi. It's kind of weird. It's pretty rare that you have to break off pieces of plastic from the rear I/O shield. Oh. So let's put a couple of bolts in place. Okay. Alright, so first cat off the rank is one of the most annoying is this little fan header up here next to the power for the CPU. There we go. And
Oh, that's so nice. 9 volunteers from the. Oh, I'm probably going to butcher how you say it, the Australia Sikh.
yeah, Sikh
Yeah.
community.
Yeah, 9 volunteers drove 20 hours overnight from Melbourne to Wangoola, New South Wales. They left Victoria at 6 a.m. and arrived in New South Wales at 4 a.m. 6 a.m. yesterday and arrived in New South Wales at 4 a.m. today. And they've been preparing fresh meals for the dismal since. See?
Oh, nice.
Pretty sure that food will taste amazing. Tim?
Yeah.
Tim says water cooling in RTX 3070 runs at about 70 degrees. More the water cooling to reduce the noise. Any kits that you recommend? There's plenty of sites where you can buy individually rather buy it all together.
Oh, I don't recommend water cooling GPUs. Sorry, graphics cards, I should say. Yeah. Nah, man, it's not worth it. You need problems. It's a real pain in the ass, and like it's not that much colder than the standard fans. 70 degrees is okay as long as your hotspot is staying under 100 degrees and your memory's staying under 90 degrees, I guess. That's okay. But yeah, sometimes people think, oh yeah, I'm going to water cool my graphics card and now it's going to I'll be gaming and it will say 40 degrees and like, it's not, the water, this is the thing that people don't really understand. The water doesn't really do any cooling. The water's just the vector of heat transfer. It's the thing that gets heated up over the CPU to take heat away from the CPU and then cooled down by the fans in the radiator. So still fundamentally, it's still cooled by the fans, still cooled by the air. So yeah, sometimes you can get it so it's oh, it's there. Yeah, that's fine. I just wish that those other display ports on that rear I/O shield had little covers over them, because they won't be in use for this build, and it's actually one of the most common things that people stuff up on is yeah, that yeah, just doing something as simple as that, right? Okay, so I'm going to use a little splitter here for these other two fans, and where was there a discrete header? I think it's down the bottom here. So I'll run this cable. Oh. Let's go on the other side of that box set. Run this cable down here. Find the board there, and that can plug in our two extra fans. Okay, so now I've got some other cables that will run behind the motherboard as well. So we've got front panel audio. Okay. Audio. And go. Sweet as. So I've just tucked them up the top there. No need for any cable ties or anything like that. I can just run down to there. And finally, these are our front panel connections here, so we can do something similar to these as to what we did with the fan splitter. Okay, so HD LED. Power switch and our power LEDs. If you're wondering why the freaking power LEDs are always two separate cables, it's so you don't reverse the polarity in the circuit and make it so that the there's a little light that comes on whenever the PC's off, and it turns on whenever it turns off whenever the PC's on.
So
Yeah.
Yes, there's no purpose, got your plates on.
Hey Mick, how you going? Oh mate, it's a bit like that.
Water's subsided around us, so that's good.
Yeah, it
Can't
has.
say that for the rest of Brisbane though.
Okay. So USB 3 we can plug in relatively discreetly there, about as discreetly as we're ever going to do in this configuration. And finally we've got our motherboard power. Oh, and we need a single SATA cable. Actually, we'll probably install both of them, because my instinct's telling me that this customer might chuck an extra hard drive or something on the back here at some stage, or he might want to access a drive or something like that. We'll make sure he's got the data cable there, just sitting waiting for him. Okay, so we've got everything in our case there, so we've just got our graphics card. And like I said, this graphics card won't require additional power. It's a 1650. Unfortunately, they're not $500 anymore. It's horrible when they were $500. And I am definitely correct. Yes. No additional power required. And we're using slots 1 and 2 here. Anything in the way there? No. Nothing in the way. Oh shit. I might wanna put a couple more screws in this motherboard. That's always helpful. I mean, I put like 2 important ones in place at first, just to sort of hold it in place. But then, because I like to route the cables discreetly so it looks nice and neat, I need to keep them loose.
Check this out from down.
Oh wow, is that storm clouds?
Yeah. There's lightning in the middle of it.
Looks like cliff faces. Looks like those white cliffs in England.
Yeah.
And just one more. Okay. Now we can put our graphics card in. Our much more reasonably priced GTX 1650. Yeah, we've got a 650 watt power supply in here, so if Alister ever wants to upgrade and jump onto a 3060 or a 6600 XT or something like that, he can just go ahead and swap it out. He'll need to make use of those cables that we tucked away next to the power supply, but that's alright. That's what they're there for. Okay, let's just tighten up these bolts over here.
got a display port and HDMI plug in the graphics card. I'm going to go and chuck them on the motherboard there, and hopefully there won't be any confusion. There we go. And a DVI one. Okay, that's looking pretty good. That's looking all ready to rock and roll with. Okay. Peripherals. Yeah.
Makes sense. You guys should be pretty right where you are, yeah.
Yeah, we're all good. Yeah, we're all good, Mick. Where we are, we're pretty sweet. We just become an island for a few days. That's like the worst of it.
Peter says hi. Christensen.
Hey Peter, how you going? It's been a little while. I haven't advertised for ages. Like I didn't advertise all last month. So if you like,
a lot of stuff going on.
yeah, I know. But if you're wondering, oh, it's like less live streams and stuff like that, that's the reason why. I did put the ads up again this week, so finally started to run out of like things to do.
Tim's getting a little bored. Don't let Tim get bored.
No, well, bored and yeah. That doesn't necessarily mean too much though. Okay. Oh, I might want to plug in a cable for our display. That's generally pretty helpful with all this sort of shit. Okay. Alrighty, so I think we are all good and we're just about to post. Share the screen. Sweet, I'll just get on with the Windows install for now because I don't have a BIOS for this motherboard on my SSD, so I'll have to download one. We'll chuck a key on it later, it's no problem. Okay, drive 0 is our NVMe SSD. Go ahead and install that. And now that that's installed, I'm just plugging in the data cable for our drive now that Windows has started to install. There's a technical reason for that. Windows likes to do some silly stuff sometimes. And that is me. Yeah, this is me bypassing the problem.
Why does it do that?
Oh, it's just got something to do with how Windows is written. And It's not even how Windows is written. It's like the firmware installer, like I don't know enough about it from a programming perspective to be able to answer that properly. But there is an issue where basically it will put boot manager on whatever drive's in the drive 0 position. It doesn't matter what drive you specify to install Windows on. It will put boot manager on drive 0, which can be a real pain, right? Because then if you ever remove that hard drive that was in the drive 0 position, because if you're installing on an NVMe SSD, whatever SATA device is plugged in will instantly be ahead of it in the hierarchy. And this is where the problem sort of comes from, right? It's on like a software level there, it's prioritizing the SATA drives over NVMe because SATA's the original one. So it's a silly error, but basically what it means is if you install Windows on your SSD, on your NVMe SSD, and then you had a hard drive plugged in there as well, boot manager will go on the hard drive, and then if you get rid of that hard drive, you upgrade that hard drive, you remove it from your system, Windows won't boot anymore and you'll have to reinstall Windows. So that's why I do it. I'm not like going crazy and like making the same mistake every night, repeat, forgetting to plug in the data cable. It's not about that. There is a reason for it. If you set your computer up and you can't remember whether you did that, you can go into disk management and go and have a look. Do you have a random partition on your hard drive? Yeah, it's probably done it. So now that hard drive is like joined at the hip with your NVMe SSD with Windows on it. You can't remove it. You cannot run one without the other. Okay. So they've given us, we've got one of these Wi-Fi antennas that they normally hand out with the Gigabyte Vision branded boards. But we've got one with our UD board. I love how like their cheapest line of motherboards they call ultra durable. I mean, they're
Sorry,
fine.
what?
There's nothing wrong with the quality of them. I wouldn't use them.
What?
Like the Gigabyte's entry level motherboards, the brand's called Ultra Durable.
Oh.
And it's like, okay, if that's ultra durable, then what's your better boards? Are they like less durable, more durable? What's more durable than ultra durable? Like, do you see what I'm getting at? I get a little bit confused by the branding there sometimes. But yes, Gigabyte Ultra Durable is their budget boards. They're like entry level ones. Okay. So now we're in Windows. I've hooked up a Wi-Fi antenna, but I might plug in by Ethernet.
Paul's walkthrough on YouTube says, hi, how's the flood over there? You guys safe?
Hey Paul, yeah, no, we're fine where we are. No issues at all. Like, we're on a bit of an island there for a couple of days essentially, but no, we were fine. We didn't lose anything. We didn't lose any stock. No computers were harmed during the flood.
We didn't lose power.
No, we were really lucky. We didn't lose power. We didn't lose internet.
The water didn't smell funny coming out of the tap. Can't say that.
No, we didn't have
Others
any
had
problems.
bad smells.
No problems like that at all. So we were really quite lucky, but we got to see it all unfold around us.
Yep. I'm so glad we don't live in when central. The sewers were literally coming up out of the drains.
Yeah, well that happens. That happens
stuff.
around there, right?
Nikki, she lives on the north side, and she's like, what's that stink? And I'm like, dude, did you hear what happened? And I told her about the sewers, and she's like, oh. She lives in Newstead.
Newstead? Huh.
Yeah. She couldn't get to work for a few days. She's in more sorrows.
Maybe one day I could live in Newstead.
No, I don't want to live there. Sorry, no.
You don't want to live at Newstead?
No, I don't want to live in the city. There's so much. You know what I'm like with the smog? I get headaches just from the smells of cars sometimes.
But if you're up high.
Yeah, I guess.
Newstead's like like what you'd consider to be an aspirational area to live in. It's like it's adjacent to Brisbane CBD. It's basically right in the centre of everything. Easy access to the highway that goes north and south of Brisbane. It's got a lot of things going for it. So if you don't know what we're talking about, that's what we're talking about. Okay. So it'll all download and install nice and quickly. Let's get all this stuff tidied up. You don't need all this clutter. Get rid of this horrible mail app. If you want to use the Microsoft Mail app, use Outlook. That's the proper one. That's the one that's actually good. The Mail app, maybe it's because I've had jobs where I use Outlook every day professionally, but I can't handle that Mail app. It's got limitations in all the wrong places. It shits me to tears. Outlook might be a little bit intimidating to learn, but oh man, once you master even just the basics of it, you won't want to use anything else for your emails. Alrighty, so I think we already had App Shop install automatically for us, so we can just go down the list here. Battle.net. We've got a WD hard drive in here, so we can go and install Acronis for WD. Battle.net. Alright, let's get some other stuff on here. Chrome. Most people use Chrome. If you don't use Chrome, I'm sorry. But I know that like some people like really hate Edge and stuff like that, so I try to put another browser on there just so it's like a little bit impartial there. I'm just going by like when I get people's computers for repair, like pretty much everyone has Chrome on their PC, so I'll always install Chrome. So Firmark, this is for our stress test. Hardware monitor, Corsair iQ, just because we've got Corsair RAM in there. Okay. Alrighty, so I don't make any GeForce Experience accounts for anyone. Always make a GeForce Experience account and download the latest drivers from NVIDIA directly. This is an Intel driver update tool. This will keep all your Intel related things up to date with a click of a mouse. Failed? What are you talking about? Msi Afterburner. So this is a graphics card utility. And no restart yet, thank you. Origin setup. Riva Tuner. This is the on-screen overlay when I've got the frames per second and all the statistics up on the screen. No. Office 365. Like I said, most people use this, especially if you use your computer for work. You'll probably have an email address that you use for work that's probably linked to a Microsoft 365 account, so you'll probably be able to use the whole latest version of Microsoft Office for free if you just sign in with your work email. So that's why I put it on. Obviously you can use all these apps in a limited capacity for free, so it goes on everyone's PC, but even if you don't pay for a subscription to it, like I said, a lot of people have that with their work email. They might not even know it, because normally like the company will be like, they'll get like a shitload of licenses to give to all of their staff, and so some of them might not even use it, but they'll have it. So no. It's done. Restart later.
Tim?
Yep.
Adam says good day, Dallas.
Hey Adam, how you going? Got to do an update on my IQ installer apparently. Sorted. And that's everything we need, I think. Oh, superposition. It always takes a little while to open up. It's a real pain. Alright. Got gaming apps in the games folder. And we can put everything else in the applications folder. Okay, it's all sorted. It's going to let me use this app without a restart. It's looking like it'll let me do it. Sweet as. That's sorted.
Oh. No. Guess what?
What?
Neighbours is going to end production.
Oh,
After 37 years.
yeah, I did. I didn't. My interest in something like that is very limited, but I saw something about the street that it's based on, the street that it's based on or something like that. Houses are selling for like large amounts or something like that, and I'm like, I didn't really read into the why. I just saw that there was something going on with that.
It was just an ABC headline.
Neighbours is finally coming to an end. When's Home and Away gonna end? Like I didn't so much mind Neighbours. I thought Home and Away was pretty lame.
Yeah, I used to watch it. I actually used to love Neighbours. I've always hated Home and Away. I hate that show. I'd rather watch Neighbours.
I was just like, oh man, yeah, no.
But if I was to watch that show now, I would have no idea.
Oh, you wouldn't. No, it's one of those things that's like every so often, it's all different.
Mm-hmm. Somebody dies, somebody gets married, something, yeah, it's just daytime, nighttime.
Alright, let's install our hard drive, get that all sorted. So disk manager detected it. So our D drive, storage hard disk drive. Sweet. There we go. So that's all sorted. And we just got this gigabyte crap to install. Everything on our Windows updates side should be all sweet. Yep, ready for restarts. Oh, there was one thing I had to do, was get a BIOS for our board. So we got B660M DS3H AX DDR4 Rev 1. I'm assuming Rev 1. And BIOS. Okay, oh, look at this one, F5, the latest one there, fix non-case CPU performance issue. That seems like a very important BIOS update for us. Let me plug my SSD back in. I'll extract that BIOS and we'll go ahead and copy it over to our SSD, and there it is there. Sweet, that's all ready to go. There we go, on getting there with all that. Hang on, I was halfway through setting this up. Yeah, set that up. And we'll set up Reaver Tuner. Yep, apply that. That is good to go. Okay, so CPU performance issue, eh? Let's have a look at that before we update our BIOS, if it's not already running that version. Alright, let's just click on Bench. Let me just open up Task Manager here so we can get an idea. not really very idleish at the moment, though, is it? Graphic card error. What the fuck?
Tim wants to know what is superpositions.
Superposition. That's just a benchmark. It's the one we do at 4K. Epic Games Launcher. Oh, I don't care about that. Yeah, that looks alright to me, man. That's alright. That's alright with me, man. But yeah, we don't know. I don't know what BIOS we're running on the motherboard. Will it? CPU ID might actually tell me that. Version F3. Yeah, no, I'm putting F5 on it. Alright, let's turn off this annoying shit that starts up automatically. We don't need every fucking thing turning on automatically when we turn our computers on. Yep, that's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Sweet. Yep.
You know how Haley moved to Sydney, right?
Yeah.
I was like, well, did they take your leg as payment? She's like, I may as well have. With the view that she has of the opera house and whatnot.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Alright. So we'll get the latest BIOS on this board. It doesn't seem like there's too much performance issue. That's pretty much what I was expecting from that CPU, those numbers that we saw there. They were more or less in line. It wasn't like running at like half its capacity, but we'll see. Okay, so go over here to Q Flash, take BIOS. That's should be the one. The fuck? Alright. That's a real pain in the ass. That's really fucking weird. That's definitely the one. B660M DS3H AX DDR4 version F5. And it won't read shit. Okay, alright, I'm done with that. So most probably if I take the BIOS file out of that folder, it'll read it just fine. So we'll go back into Windows. Windows can do its fine a lot of updates. But then we'll change the position of that BIOS,
Here.
and hopefully it makes a bit of a difference.
Choose.
I won't read the BIOS file from the folder on my SSD. And that can either happen when you've got the wrong version of the BIOS, but I don't.
Are you sure?
Fucking, I'm about as sure as you can be about things.
Okay.
I'll be less sure if what I do next doesn't work. That will decrease my confidence. Okay. There's always some little extra Windows updates there. 12th gen Intel is obviously compatible with Windows 11, so you can update at your discretion. Okay, this is our board here. This is our BIOS. So I'm going to put it out here in the root directory. That's all sorted. Alright, let's give this a go. My SSD's got a lot of crap on it. I think it can confuse the average motherboard.
Possibly.
Nearly missed it. Oh, look at that! Works! No fucking worries. Sweet as. Alrighty, we should be nearly done. 65%, that'll do. Okay, so we'll turn on our XMP profile. Our fans are sounding nice and quiet actually by default. I might just leave them there. Okay, well we should be all good to see what this thing can actually do. Oh, what's going on here? There we go. Thank you very much. There's our memory running at full speed. Our GTX 1650 and our 12400F CPU. Everything's looking pretty sweet there. Okay. So how's this little stock cooler go when we put a little bit of load onto it? Oh, it's jumped up. It has jumped up a bit to 48. It was at 44 before. Oh yeah, hitting 650 now. Yeah, so there was a little bit of a performance loss there, it looks like. Just slightly. That 658, 480, 4863. That's solid results there. So if you want to see how that stacks up compared to some other systems. Shut up, Edge. I don't care. Just opening this to show people some stuff. Alrighty. So where's the 12400 sit? Can't remove that. It's really freaking annoying, isn't it? Alright, so here's the Intel 12th gen chips here. So the i9s, the i7, i5s, 11900K there, and the 12400F. So realistically, very similar single core performance to an i9 11900K. So last generation's flagship. And for multi, as we can see here, it's keeping up with a 5600X at multi-core workloads. So giddy up, happy days. Alright. So no, we've got nothing going on there. Let's just have a look at our gaming benchmarks. So I'll run Heaven here on high. No anti-aliasing. Just anti-aliasing is like line smoothing. So it adds an extra layer of work for the graphics card to process every time it like renders a frame. So it's got to like render the frame, then go over it with this anti-aliasing algorithm that smooths the lines. So it has a bit of an impact there. Okay, oh, we don't have... I have fucked up. Look at that. I don't know why that's not... That's weird. There it is. Yeah. That was really weird. Msi Afterburner wasn't talking to our graphics card. Yeah, there it goes. Now it's normal. Alright, so the number here below RAM is the frames per second that it's currently running at. All the other stats are pretty self-explanatory. Okay. It's looking like the end of heaven. Oh no, it's already looped around. I'm just responding to some messages off camera there. Alright, next one is Valley, and we do that one on Ultra with max anti-aliasing. So sort of a different one, still 1080p. But yeah, we'll turn up the settings and turn up the anti-aliasing to put a bit more strain on the graphics card. So like this is what we're doing here. This is like how it'd be running if we were playing something like like Red Dead Redemption 2 or Shadow of the Tomb Raider, some sort of like an open world role-playing game sort of thing. You generally turn the graphics up and stuff, and you don't really worry if the frames per second drops, as long as it looks good and you're moving around nice without any sort of lag, then that's generally fine for games like that. Online multiplayer first-person shooters, not so much. That's where frames per second is really important. So if you're looking to buy a gaming computer and you're sort of like trying to make sense of everything that's online and all that, the frames per second thing, it's, I mean, your eyes won't be able to tell the difference beyond probably about 90 or so frames a second. You won't really be able to, most people's eyes won't be able to tell the difference. There are people who, like, when I say most people, that means there'll be like, 1 in 5 people will probably be able to tell the difference, no worries, without any training sort of thing. There's people who have like genetically slightly better eyes than everyone else and stuff, and it's normally just a little tiny bit of difference, doesn't make a difference in regular life. But these people can, they can make out, higher frames per second on a screen, and that gives them a little bit of an advantage when playing games or something like that. That's a thing. So. But yeah, most people, once you get about 90, 100 frames a second, people find it very hard to tell the difference between that and like 150 frames a second. Just to sort of put it in perspective. So normally, like a normal person, the average person out there will be able to tell the difference between 60 frames a second and 144 frames a second. So if you're looking at a 60 Hz monitor or a 144 Hz monitor, you will notice the difference between that. Your eyes will pick up that one is much smoother than the other, but beyond that, your eyes won't notice the difference unless you're in that top 1% of people who have like crazy sensitive eyes. Okay, so that was Valley. And the final one we run is, we normally do a 4K benchmark for superposition. But what we're going to do, because we've got a GTX 1650 in here, it's not really for 4K gaming. So instead we're going to go the other way. We're going to do the 720p low. The difference with this one compared to the other two is this is in DirectX 12 rendering mode. The others were DirectX 11 rendering mode. And so this test here, this would be sort of how you'd ideally run with this card if you were playing online multiplayer games and you had a high refresh rate monitor. Because you'd want that nice, high, consistent sort of frame rate that we're going to see here. It stays, for the most part, it stays above sort of 140 frames a second. There'll be some dips. There we go. So it averaged there at 145.45 frames per second, max of 210, minimum of 108. Alrighty, so... Oh shit, there's one thing I didn't do. I didn't install Cinebench. You serious? What? What the fuck? Since when? That's pretty weird. So what, is it not... Is it just a problem with it right now in the Microsoft Store? Possibly. That's really weird. I don't have like a standalone Cinebench on my SSD, do I? No. Why would I? It's been part of the Windows Store forever. Alright, so I guess for our stress test we'll just have to use CPU ID. Doesn't hit it quite as hard on the CPU, but I don't think we're really going to have any temperature issues with this anyway. So I'm feeling pretty comfortable with this. So how's our temperatures been? Cool. Temp indicator 2, that's gotta be the CPU there. Yep, CPU 63 down there. Temp in 4, 51. That'll be the CPU socket. And the rest, yeah, that's just the motherboard. No issues there. Cool. Alrighty, so to stress our graphics card, we use this app over here. It'll struggle to do that one. And we can start a stress test on our CPU over here. Very good. As we can see, we've got our 6-core 12-thread CPU utilizing it 100%. Same with our graphics cards 3D rendering. And memory there, 3200 megahertz. Alright. Well, this is the point where I sort of just let this run for a while, make sure it doesn't melt. Sitting at 4 gigahertz there roughly. Graphics card's behaving itself. Hasn't even got over 58 degrees while running the gaming benchmarks. Yep, CPU socket, and our motherboard temperatures. Not sure about these two. They look anomalous to me. Sweet as. Alrighty, well this is the point now where like I just let this run for 90 minutes so I don't hang around sitting here staring at the screen. So I don't think there's too many people still watching at this point. Usually people sort of leave by the end of it. Once you've seen this process here at the end once, you've seen it 1,000 times. Alright. Well I might finish up for the night. Sweet as. So yeah, everything went well with this PC, all performing as expected here, so there won't be any issues with Alister picking this up tomorrow morning, so you can take it home and start getting some work done. That's always good. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Oh shit, I'm about to cough. Thanks everyone for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and you'll be able to catch another build tomorrow night in the next video.